All right, guys, you're going to have a worksheet today that you're working on. It's a force practice worksheet. There are 13 problems on it. You only have to do 1 through 11. If you decide to do problems number 12 and 13, that's cool, but we'll go over it as a class. But you need to take notes on this. So if I write it down, you guessed it, you write it down. All right? So what we're going to do is just kind of go over how you actually calculate force when you're given mass and acceleration. So you have this formula, force equals mass times acceleration. And in fact, you can actually write this in the form of a triangle like this. And what works so well about this is you put the F on top for force, you put mass and acceleration beside each other. So when you put two variables beside each other, you multiply them. So in this case, if I'm solving for force, it's mass times acceleration. If I were solving for mass, it would be force over acceleration, which would make it a division problem. And if I was solving for mass, I would take mass equals, if I was solving for acceleration be F over m, or force divided by mass. You're going to find throughout the worksheet it gives you different problems to work on. So let's look at number 1 on your worksheet. It says how much force is needed to accelerate 66 kilograms or a 66 kilogram skier at 2 meters per second squared. Well, it gives you two numbers. It gives you mass and it gives you acceleration. So that means we're solving for force. So I take 66 kilograms and I multiply it by 2 meters per second squared. So what that's going to give me is 6 times 2 is 12. I carry the 1. That gives me 132 kilogram meter per second squared. And I know what you're thinking. That's weird. That's a very weird unit. Well, a kilogram meter per second squared is the same thing as newtons. So I take 132 newtons, and that's my answer. So set it up, work it all out. That's how you work that whole problem out. The next thing we're going to do is work out number 6 together because it looks a little bit different. And I don't want you guys to use a calculator on this if anyone's asking, because I think you can work this all out by hand if you want. Well, not if you want, you're going to. Okay? Number 6 says a force of 250 newtons is applied to an object that accelerates at a rate of 5 meters per second squared. What is the mass of the object? What is the mass of the object? Well, let's see what we have. We have a force equals 250 newtons, and we have an acceleration rate of 5 meters per second squared. So what do I have? I have force and I have acceleration. I don't have mass. So what does mass equal? Mass equals force divided by acceleration. Force divided by acceleration. So I'll take 250 newtons divided by 5 meters per second squared. You guys see a problem with that? Anytime you divide by a fraction, right, you got to keep it and flip it. You got to flip it. I know you learned this in math class. So let's write